And the president's decision to lift public health emergency for COVID in May, it could also mean the end of a policy that blocked more than 2 million people or 2 million border crossings. We're talking here about Title 42, the Trump-era policy that was put in place back in March 2020. It allows the U.S. to expel migrants over public health concerns, in this instance, COVID. Right now, 20 states are suing the Biden administration to keep the policy in place. Notably, 10 of the states don't have any sort of land or sea borders. That being said, only 2 states border Mexico. The Supreme Court made a temporary decision to keep the policy in place while this case plays out. The question now is what happens if Title 42 winds down before the court makes its decision? To help us answer some of this is Julia Ainsley. She's NBC News' Homeland Security correspondent, and she joins me now. Thank you so much, Julia, for being here. So tell me, what could happen at the southern border if Title 42 is lifted?
Well, Yamiche, for over a year now, there's been a prediction that when Title 42 lifts, we'll see a surge of migrants. Mainly, this is pent-up demand. People who couldn't cross the border since March of 2020 without being sent back into Mexico. We know that Central Americans and Mexicans, by and large, have been those most affected by Title 42. And in some places along the border, they're not all, there are large migrant camps of people trying to get in. This is not just because of U.S. border policy, but because of Western Hemisphere migration. Right now, there are 2.5 million Venezuelans living in Colombia. There are a lot of political turmoil throughout the hemisphere. Climate change is impacting this, and it's all coming at a time where if these COVID-19 restrictions lift, known as Title 42, it could serve as a magnet. And that is why Republicans have been vocally against lifting Title 42.
And as you break that down, we know that the Supreme Court is weighing the future of Title 42. You've covered this a lot. I wonder what's the status of that case and what would happen if the court doesn't make a decision by May 11th?
Well, it's interesting, and they probably won't make a decision by May 11th. We know that they'll hear oral arguments March 1st, but because this is one of the more controversial opinions that they'll issue this term, we could be looking at late June by the time we actually hear a decision. But what could change is that the Biden administration is now trying a new route for lifting it. In the past, they tried to lift the Title 42 by saying that the CDC no longer found it necessary. Now they're using more of an umbrella way of doing this by saying, look, the entire public health emergency around COVID-19 has lifted, and therefore, the way Title 42 was written, it is no longer applicable. They're extending this to May 11th. However, there are some Republicans that tried to end the public health emergency yesterday. I don't know for sure if they knew that that would also mean lifting Title 42 and going against 20 Republican states that are suing to keep it in place. So if the Biden administration goes ahead and tries to lift this by May 11th, the Supreme Court will be in a position where they will have to decide whether or not that lifting is in violation of the injunction they put in place in December that kept it from lifting. And then we'll see if we have another lawsuit from Republicans to try to keep it in place or what happens next. There are a lot of hypotheticals, a lot of places this could go, but it definitely could end with Title 42 lifting either on May 11th or later in the summer or continuing for even longer.
Well, a lot of moving parts, and of course, there's a lot of political tension here. So thanks so much, NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.